Welcome to the Authentically Elisa podcast, Reshaping Business with Integrity, the podcast where we explore how to run your business authentically and with integrity. I'm your host, Elisa Bogarts, a business coach and launch manager, helping coaches launch their programs and events that align with their business values. Together, we'll uncover the secrets to building a successful business without sacrificing morals, ethics, authenticity, or heart. Let's dive in. All right, so let's dive into today's episode. Today, we're going to be talking about creating your own table. And my guest is Heather Dolland Tamam, and she is a serial entrepreneur, published author, speaker, and transition coach. As a founder of the Doltam Creative Solutions, the MWBE, she empowers professionals to pivot from unfulfilling careers into purpose-driven entrepreneurship. Drawing from her own multi-industry journey, Heather blends strategy, storytelling, and content creation to help others build online businesses and meaningful lives. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. How are you today?
I'm doing excellent. For those of you listening, we are in this amazing yet crazy event called Podapalooza, where they match guests and podcast hosts, and we do I have 8 shows scheduled for today, which is a little bit crazy. 8 interviews.
But we thrive in it, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's so much fun getting to meet so many people.
Yes.
So tell me, how did you get into this field of work, and just why are you so passionate about it?
Absolutely, because I began to realize throughout the evolution of my career that ultimately your story is your strategy. And that is something that I really only had a purview of as I got here. And so I would always say to my clients, you will never have clarity until you take action. You're going to think, you're going to think, you're going to think, but clarity only ever comes from taking action and not thoughts. And so even if you're not certain what that destination is, just take a step. Because as soon as you take that step, the clarity comes with the next one. And regardless of what direction that step might be in, there's no wrong direction because that redirection is still direction. So either way, you get clarity and it just takes you closer to wherever that place might be. But just give yourself grace and be willing to be brought along on the journey.
Amazing. And did you also have an unfulfilling career that you sort of
Not quite.
No.
So the
Entrepreneurship.
entire reason, so I came to the United States from Grenada back in 1995 to study architecture. And
Okay.
that didn't go the way that I thought it was going to at all. It was an epic fail, quite
Oh no.
literally. And it completely just changed. That was the first real pivot that I did in my life without really having those words at the time. All it was a failure. And I ended up doing my master's in environmental technology. And I would never forget the first time walking into that environmental consulting firm, realizing that the people there who were just absolutely wonderful people were all living in their purpose. And I knew that I wasn't. I was in that space because I needed to do something. Because here I have just spent 7 years in college and I am trying to find myself. My parents have just funded all of this because as an international student, we're not able to get loans and financial aid is just not a thing. And so as I'm trying to evolve and figure out, well, what is the next step? I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what that journey was going to be, and I didn't know how to get there. And so it was just through, well, what is that thing that brings me joy and I enjoy doing? And food has always been a huge part of my existence. And so my very first side gig was while I was an environmental consultant, I did food crawls. And so the concept was instead of having the entire meal at one restaurant, you'll have appetizer, entree, dessert next to each other. I ended up then leaving the company. I'm doing that. I'm like, this is fun, this is interesting, but nobody knows that I exist because I have no marketing budget. And so I ended up writing my first book because I was asked to do Astoria's Restaurant Week. So I live in New York City, Astoria is in Queens, and I'm doing this food event and I see all of these distillers and I'm like, hold on a second. how did I, as an individual who was an environmental consultant by day, and in the evening, I did tastings for another girlfriend of mine who was from Grenada, and I had no idea all these brands existed. And so I wrote my first book called Discovering the New York Craft Spirits Boom, where I was just telling their stories. I'm telling the stories of all these brands, and I realized that one of them had a very specific problem, which was sales. He was upstate New York. These were all farm distillers. They were making their products from things grown on the farm. And he was stuck with sales and he wanted to be in New York City. And I'm like, hold on a second. I know how to do that because I was doing sales as an environmental consultant. So I went from being a scientist into business development. And so I simply just took that work ethic. It's the same person, shift the work ethic, but it's the same knowledge. It was the same skill set. And so
Yeah,
that's a lot of what I tell people. You can shift, you can take that knowledge because knowledge is transferable and move it from one industry into another that has nothing in common, but what is in common is you. And so
love that.
it was, I'm telling their stories, and the goal is to get their brand to the bars, liquor stores, into the restaurants. And ultimately, I was a storyteller. I was able to sell these products. At the end of the day, yes, it was about the alcohol, but no, it really wasn't. I was connecting people with the stories of each of these distillers. And
Mm.
so it was that engagement, and that really just helped me to see the importance of understanding how to share stories and the way stories are generally connectors.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I think it's so true. That was very similar to my story as well, where I did project management in corporate and then moved that into the coaching world, completely different industries, working with in very different ways, very different types of like software development to coaching programs are
Exactly.
very different, but my skill sets, yeah, the
Yes.
same. Yeah, I love that. I love that. So this season is all about scaling on your terms, and I'd love to know how you have scaled on your terms. Have you
So
seen how
when
you've grown?
Sure. So when I wrote my most recent book, which is called Create Your Own Table, A Guide to Discovering Your Purpose,
Mm,
listeners, I know you guys are listening, but I'm actually just showing a cover of the book. But when I wrote this book, I realized very quickly that by solving one problem of creating clarity, there was another problem that was being created in that where are these people going to go? And so it was really important for me then to create essentially a landing place so that once you've read the book, you've gotten some level of clarity. Now I need to be able to bring you into my ecosystem that is able to support you on that journey of empowerment. And so that is where it's interesting because it's an evolution for me as well as to my clients. And the whole thing is how can I do this in a way that it is achievable, that you understand it meets you exactly where you are. Because just like in nature, we have different seasons in life. And so everything that I've created to support individuals after they've gotten clarity from the book, they are now able to evolve and just step into themselves. And by doing that, it is allowing me to step into myself because I am growing along. Like we're all, I always like to say, we're all at different parts of the same journey. Some of us a little bit ahead, some of us a little bit behind, but we can support each other. And so I am finding in supporting them, I am also evolving as well, which is really just, it's very gratifying and fulfilling.
yeah, I love that. So tell me, like, create your own table or create their own table. I love this. So explain to me what that means and give
So
us some
sure.
tips
So
on
the
that. Like, how
entire
can someone do that?
Sure. So the entire concept is instead of being frustrated that you're not being invited to someone else's table, to create your own. For so many of us, you spend a lot of time and a lot of years wanting this thing, but the raise isn't coming, the position isn't coming, the salary isn't coming, that particular job that you've been wanting, it's not coming. And you're feeling all of this frustration. But I think in particular, once we get to a certain stage in our lives where the years ahead is much less than the years that are behind, you start to feel a certain amount of pressure. And that often turns into frustration, and that frustration evolves into resentment. and you're feeling like you've spent your best years doing all of this stuff for everyone else and you've not done anything for yourself. And
Mm.
so we don't have to go through that. The knowledge that we have is valuable. And I do believe that a lot of people simply don't value their knowledge. You think that because you do this thing, everybody else must know how to do that. It's not special because you're just doing it. And it's not even a job. You don't even think of a skill as a skill. I didn't, I was very much, I fell victim to that when until I wrote my third book, Pivot, because life doesn't always go as planned. When I wrote that book, I felt like I was literally just like throwing spaghetti against a wall. I'm like,
Mm.
I have shifted because the alcohol business died off with COVID. My clients lost half of their accounts. But I honestly also knew that I was kind of over it and I didn't want to go back into the environmental field. I knew that I had a lot of knowledge. I didn't know how it was going to serve me. And but I started to create content because I knew how to do that. I'm chasing sunlight around my apartment. And I was just like, okay, I got a lot of amazing brand deals, and that was wonderful, but it was not feeding my soul. And again, I'm like feeling this gap and this
Mm.
emptiness, like something is missing, but what am I doing with everything that I know how to do, all the skills that I have? I just don't know what to do. And I feel like when I wrote that book, I'm like, I didn't go through all of this for no reason. So I'm just going to write this. I'm literally just telling my whole story and I'm going to put it out there. And it was not until I started to get the feedback. Wow, Heather, I can't believe you shifted your career so many times. I'm still stuck in this thing that I've been doing for 20 years. I'm still doing, and that was when my own eyes truly opened because I was taking what I did for granted. I'm like, everybody doesn't just shift, everybody doesn't just pivot. And I'm thinking because I'm doing it, everybody, it never occurred to me that this is actually a skill set. And so that's what I
Mm.
teach people to do. Recognize the value in the knowledge that you already have. You don't need to go back to school. You don't need to go and do all these different things. And it really just, I had an interview a couple of days ago where I'm speaking to someone, ton of knowledge in traditional knowledge in one sense, ton of lived knowledge in another. And she wants you to go back to school. And I was like, why would you do such a thing? If remember when you graduated college and you couldn't get a job, what was the reason, the primary reason that they gave you for not getting?
Experience.
Thank you very much. So why, with all of this knowledge and all of this experience, would you now go back to school into a position and then come out and have no experience in it anyway, and
Mm.
just discount all of the experience that you have? And
Yeah.
so once I could get them to see the value in what they have, at that point, then we start talking about your soul's message. What is that calling that's in your soul? And
Mm.
I try to encourage people to focus rather than focusing on a financial goal, because a lot of the times that's where you get tripped up. Let's figure out your soul goal. And if we could work out your soul goal, the financial goal, it will eventually, is not going to be quick. I promise you that. But it will eventually sort itself out.
Wow, I love that. Yeah, that's so interesting. You and I have a lot in common too, because I actually, when I first started my business, was in the life coaching field, and said it was called the confidence method, and it was about helping people to be confident in themselves so that they could do whatever they wanted to do in their lives. Because I too had people being like, "Oh, you're so brave. You're doing what? Like you're doing this, you're doing that." It wasn't necessarily with my career. My career was always kind of like, at least when I was like, in corporate, that was always just kind of my fallback, and that just kind of funded all the things that I
Sure.
wanted to do.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, and it's interesting. So then I was like, and I didn't realize that that was a skill as well. I was like, oh, why just like, well, I know what I want. I'm going to go after it. And I was, well, yes, it's scary, but I want that. So I'm going to go do
Exactly.
it. Yeah. And you're right. So many people just like, they don't, or there's, boundary issues, or they feel bad about things, and so it's guilt, and so many like, mindset kind of things that can go with it. And yeah, you're right. I love how the way that you look at it is like, how we have value, how we have experience and skills and all these
Experience.
things, and we can apply that to whatever it is that our
Absolutely.
soul wants. Yeah, that's amazing.
Absolutely. Especially in this day of AI, the
Mm,
one thing that differentiates us is the human experience.
right.
You can have chat tell you what to do, da, 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 but it will never be able to say, I went through this as well. I know
Hmm.
what it feels like when XYZ, whatever that thing is that happened to you, it can never say that. And so I, especially now, that has so much more value than anything else because that is what is differentiating us. That human, that lived experience when you can look at a person, and granted, I've had a million experiences, but I have not had the experience of everyone. So I always respect that. But you can have a level of camaraderie because it's like, yes, I understand. I get it.
Hmm.
I know what that pain feels like. I know what that shame feels like. I get it. And
Hmm.
that connection, I think, is something that we will never be a machine, artificial intelligence, and I am a huge proponent of using it. It will never replace the human experience from that standpoint. And so, yes, just
Yeah,
really hold on to it and own your story.
I love that. If someone were to take away an action based on what you said today, what's one thing that we could do to get them a step forward to their soul's purpose?
I think truly just, I think it really is that if you begin to focus on your soul goal and not the financial goal, because you think of the financial goal and you start to think about all of these things that you have to do and all of these bills that you have. But if you do it the other way around, and another thing that does happen when people are feeling disenchanted with their jobs is that once you realize that that job that you hate is about to fund this vision that you have for your life, you would find that you have an appreciation for it that you didn't have before.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're very happy to go to work and you're very happy to have this job because it's allowing you to be able to dream. And
Mm,
so that's the catch. It's like being able to hold on to that dream and have that dream, and you're not feeling like it's useless and it's unachievable because that thing that you didn't really appreciate is actually taking care of it. And all of a sudden now you're not going to want to lose it because again, it's just a shift, right? It's just
hmm.
that shift in mindset. So yes, focusing
Absolutely.
on the soul goal.
Thank you. Thank you. So tell us, how can our listeners find you online?
So my website is doltam.com. So it's doltam.com. But absolutely all of my social media is my name, which is Heather Dolland Tamam. So that is my YouTube channel, that is my Instagram page, that is LinkedIn, that is TikTok. It is absolutely everything. But thank you so much for having me. And yes, I am here to serve. The reason that I call Create Your Own Table a guide to discovering your purpose, create your own table, because the primary purpose of a table is to serve. And that is what I genuinely believe I am here to do.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And well, maybe that was it. But I always like to ask all my guests what if they have any final words of wisdom.
Sure. Just, be true to who you are. We only get one go around in this life.
Mhm.
And don't keep yourself small to make other people comfortable. I think that is a formula for a very challenging, difficult life. And
Mm.
life has its own challenges on its own. So just put our best foot forward and just take that first step. Once you take that first step, that clarity will absolutely come. That I promise you.
I love that. Yes, take the first step and clarity will come.
Just
Thank
take the
you
first step.
so much. This has been such a wonderful conversation. I thoroughly
Thank
enjoyed it.
you.
I really want to connect with you after this as well because I feel like we have so much in common.
I would love to. Yes, I am here for it. I'm sure you have my email and everything. So yes, I would absolutely welcome it. And we could chat and exchange and share knowledge and positive energy.
Exactly,
And we're
exactly.
done.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope it inspired you to live a more authentic life. I'd love your help in inspiring more people to live authentically. So please follow, rate, and leave a review so we can create a ripple effect of authenticity. Until next time, stay true to you, be bold, and thrive on your own terms. This is Elisa, signing off authentically.